Hey, what's up, Jooba People? Welcome to Fretboard Mastery class number 1. This is going to be a weekly class and we're going to focus on playing all over the fretboard. So the whole idea of this little course is going to be to take you through techniques, exercises, music theory concepts, all focused around the concept of being able to play all across the fretboard. Whether you want to solo, just like freely, not stay in one position here and then move to a position here and here, but be able to play, like let's say you're soloing over a D chord. You get the idea, just to kind of be able to play all the, if you're playing a chord progression and you want to be able to play it the same chords at different places on the neck. Okay, so for today's class, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do an exercise called note recall, and that's basically to be able to find any note on your guitar at any different place. So if you have a D note here, to be able to play it in different places, I'm going to show you a little exercise that you can do to make this really easy, because everything centers around being able to find the same note at different positions. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to play an F note. Okay, and then you're going to try to find an F note on the A string. Now at first this will take you a long time, depending on what level you are at, but if you do this exercise just for a few days in a row, then you'll see the patterns way quicker, and it will just be so much fun to do this exercise. So the first thing is you got to find an F you do it with one note at a time. So you find an F here on the string, and then you find an F on the second string from the top, fifth string, I guess. F, 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 F. That's basically what you want to do. Now what you don't want to do is, some people cheat and then they go F and then F because they know this octave shape. But that's what you don't want to do, because you don't want to think like that. Otherwise you're just thinking of this F and in relation to that. So you need to be able to find the F on the next string. And it's okay if you use your ear, but you want to try to hit it spot on the first time. Now the way you can do this is to put a metronome on as well, to make the metronome go like this, right? And then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And this is a way you can measure your progress, right? So then you just keep setting the metronome faster. Right? And that's the way you can measure your progress, to see how you're getting better. And you'll see you'll get better way faster. So then the next note that you want to do is to take a note not right next to the F. The next note that what you want to do is something like around this area of the fretboard, so like a B or a C or an A. The reason for that is so that you just don't, because if you do an F sharp, then you're just going to take everything that you just did and just move it up one fret. Still good, but not as good. Okay, and this exercise comes from a book by Joe Satriani, where he just listed some secrets. I can't remember what the book's called, but Joe Satriani wrote the book. Okay, so the next one you're going to do is B, and then you're going to play a B note, boom, play it on the fifth string. Oh, I missed that last one. So what I would do with a metronome, according to the level that I'm at, is I'm going to play a note on each beat. So I'm setting the metronome to about, I guess this is about 80 or 90, somewhere there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'll do it a little bit faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll notice that, so that's a little bit too fast for me. But you get the idea. That's just kind of the concept behind it. And then we're going to, then you go back to another note, let's say the G note. And if you've never done this exercise before, it will take you a long time. Okay, it will take you like, you gotta think of, okay, the 12th fret is the A, and then back A flat G. Cool. And then this G you can see in relation to the root note, and then this G is open string, and then this G you'll just see in relation to this one, like an octave shape. So it's really nice to know these octave shapes. Okay, so this is the one octave shape that you need to know. G to G. Okay, and then you have G to G, and then you have G to G. And then to get the 5th string, you just go from that octave shape to that one, and then you put your index finger here, and then you get another octave shape like this. So this is the C octave shape. Okay, and in that way you found all the strings, right? Except the one on this string. And the way you find that one is, oh yeah, you go, and then this is an octave shape, which is like A, C. Okay, so those octave shapes, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. So if you have all of those octave shapes, then you'll be fine finding all the notes. Okay. So that's the idea behind note recall. Okay, so that's the exercise that you should work on at least 4 or 5 minutes a day. Just do that exercise, and that will get you towards playing all over the neck way faster than anything else I can teach you. Okay, but there are a lot of tricks and things. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do a chord progression, and we're going to play it in different parts in the neck. And this is going to be like an intermediate advanced level kind of chord progression. Okay, so the chord progression that I'm going to do is D, A, just a simple progression, B minor, G. And I'm going to quickly show you a demonstration of what you're going to learn, and then I'm going to explain to you how I've came up with that. So we're going to do D, A, B minor, G, and again D, B minor, So a lot was going on there, and I'm going to start with just a simple little diagram here. Okay, so we have this usual D chord here on the 2nd fret, okay? And if you know your notes, you'll see, let me quickly show you how I came up with this D shape over here. Okay, so this D shape comes from the A shape bar chord, where you would play all those notes and bar here, okay, which looks like this. Okay, so I'm just extracting notes from this bar chord and getting my open D string in there, and then boom, I've got this nice D shape. And it's exactly the same notes. That's why if you do your note recall properly, then you will see the notes easier. So this is we can say this is an A, what it is an A, and this is a D, and this is an F sharp. And if you know your notes, how to get the specific ones, you'll notice that this one is an F sharp, is over here as well. Okay, and this is a D, and that's an A. And that's why if you do your note recall exercise, you'll be able to discover the same notes in different parts of the fretboard. And these two shapes just open like a world of possibilities. So if I'm here, I can slide up with my ring finger. So, and then what I'm doing here is I'm just playing around with the shape, just like you would when you were playing a D. You would go. Quite simple, right? Okay, now let's add another shape here. We're going to add another fretboard, and I'm going to zoom out. No, I'm not. I'm not going to zoom out because it's not working. Okay, there we go. So let's just move this shape here again, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing with the A chord. So if you write down the A chord here, let's just have a big screen. So you have this A chord, and you can already tell what I'm going to do. But what I'm going to do is something from the caged system, which the D and with the D shape and the A shape is actually a caged kind of thing. But anyway, so these three notes in the A chord are going to be C sharp, A, and E. So those are the notes of my normal A chord, right? But if I want to find them in the same zone that I did with the D, then I can just do this. I'll write down this note, this note, this note. And you can see this note comes from an A shape bar chord. E shape bar chord, sorry. Let me show you. So this chord, I'm extracting these notes from the normal A bar chord. Now I've got the nice open string with the A, and I've got the nice open E string, okay, which my notes in the chord of A are A, E, and C sharp, okay. Okay, so basically, if I write down the names of these notes, it's going to be E, C sharp, and A. So now I've got the same two chords that I can play, D and A. And this A opens up a lot of cool things that you can do. Even if you're just a strummer, you know? A4, A64, A6, A at 9. So the basic concept, I just want to talk a little bit theoretically about mastering the fretboard, is you need to take a little trick that you're going to learn with these classes each week, and then just kind of master that trick, right? Then you'll see it will start to have a snowball effect in your playing. You'll start to say, okay, so if I can play D here, that means if I'm in the key of G, the same thing. If I go G, wait, let's go. Instead of playing D there, I go. Immediately you can use that D with a lot of other songs. So all of these little tricks, you want to master each little trick and just kind of ingrain it into, just like take one chord progression, play it with these different voicings, and then that you can then apply to soloing. And I'll show you how to apply these chord shapes with soloing, which is fascinating. Okay, so but anyway, what happens with this A here is the notes just kind of move along. So this E moves there, and that's that octave shape that we talked about, right? And then here you have an A going to an A over there, and a C sharp going to C sharp. So these patterns all work with note recall, okay? It's just basically being able to say, if you can say, okay, what are these notes? How can I find this note somewhere over here? Cool, nice, you can also find it there. Okay, so then you have that note over here, and then if you want the A, then you have two notes. Cool, so there you have an A over here. So note recall is probably the foundation of mastering your entire fretboard. Okay, so now we have the A, and then I did something very interesting with the B minor that I want to show you. So let's make another fretboard over here, and I'm going to just put this fretboard in a nice position, and then we're going to talk about B minor. So first of all, we have a normal B minor that is played, and with the bar chord. Okay, you can have other voicings, but that's your normal B minor. And if we just write down the names of some of these notes, we'll see it's a D, which is the same as the other chord. It also has an F sharp in it, okay, which you can also find here. There's also an F sharp, and there's a B. Okay, so it shares, right now you'll see, okay, it's sharing notes with, let's just write down a D chord here. Give me a second. D is D, F sharp, and A, right? B minor is D, B, F, D, and F sharp. So it's sharing these two notes, okay, which are called relative notes, okay. So that's why B minor and D are called relative majors and minors. So the B minor and the D minor are sharing the same note. So that means if you're over here with the D shape, which if you recall the D shape was like that, like that, like that. Okay, so that was our D shape, okay? So then we can say, okay, we can keep these two notes because they're the D and the F sharp. And let's just add a B note right over here because we know our fretboard. So we can say on the 7th fret, we can find a B minor here. We don't want the A note ringing out, so we're gonna mute the A string, okay? And we're gonna have the D string open, and then we're gonna have this note, and we can either play an F sharp here or have it open. Okay, so we can just kind of put it like that, and we can do even a B there at the bottom. So if we have that shape, then we get to this B minor, okay? Which we got the B, the D again, the B, and the B. So we don't even have an F sharp in here, which we could add an F sharp like that if we wanted to. But the F sharp is not really an important note in the key of D. I'll explore that more in my music theory course. But basically what I'm doing is I'm just taking some of the notes that I found in D and just adding the B note, which is the only difference between B and D. So B minor doesn't have an A, it has B instead of an A. So anyway, what does this leave us? Let's just write down the notes here. It's going to be a B. Oh, that's too big. Let's undo that. It's going to be a B and a D and a B. And this is going to be an F sharp if we want to add that note. It's not totally necessary, but it's kind of weird because it's not. Okay, you get the idea. Yeah, so let's see if we've got people leaving comments. Nobody leaving comments yet, but that's fine. Okay, so yeah, this is going to be a 40-minute class, so we're going to dive deep into things. So let me quickly just review what we've done so far. So we've got the D chord here, and then we've added this D to the situation. So, and then we went to an A, and then we went to this A on the 5th fret, which is extracted from the A bar chord. Okay. But the reason we're playing this A, because it's more creative, you can add more. Very nice, okay? And then we did a B minor. Very nice. Very important with this shape to mute the 5th string. Now this comes from a B minor chord. We're just taking some of those notes and we're using some of the open string notes that are the same notes as are in the key in the chord B minor. Okay. So then we got D. So what I want to do next is go to a G chord. Okay, so let's just write down the names of the chords that we've been working on. So D, we've got a D chord here. Let's just write this down. D, and then we've got an A. Ooh, that's a disgusting A. Let's write it like that. Okay, we got A, and we got B minor, and then next up we're gonna do G. Now G is super fun. Now obviously G is one of the most played chords on guitar, and we're gonna look at this chord quickly. So we have a G here, boom, just a regular normal G. Okay, those two notes. And if we look at the notes that we're playing with G, it is the notes G, B, and D. And we're not going to write down the other ones. So this chord, what I like to do with this chord is to move it to this position. So basically, just so you get closer. Jimi Hendrix shape. So there's a couple of options that we have here, but let's just write this down. And this comes from doing the E shape. So if you know the cage system, this is G, and then this is what comes after G is the E shape caged. So G E. So we got a G chord, and then we've got the next G on the fretboard is going to be an E shape. Now let's just write down some of those notes, and we can write down these ones like this. So this is our octave shape going here to there. Okay. So that's our octave going from G to G. That's how we found that note. Okay, so let's just write down the names of them. G, oh, too big. G, and we've got B here, which is also the octave from there to there. So that's the octave from there to there. And then, boom, we're good to go. So, as you recall, the D string is open, right? So we have this kind of thing we can do. This finger here on the D note, and then you have your pinky available. Alternatively, if you know how to use your thumb while playing, then you can put your thumb on the 3rd fret like this, and then have these walk up like an F chord, right? Again, it's extracted from the E-shaped bar chord, okay? So then you can do those cool shape from Jimi Hendrix's Little Wing. So that song is very inspiring. All right, so we have the G chord here that we can use, and this shape is really nice. When you're in the key of D, you have this chord ladders going G, A, B minor. This works as an A/C sharp to a D. Those notes are just taken from the bar chords. So we have G bar chord, extract those notes, and then we have A bar chord, extract those two. And then you have the open D string just to kind of remind people you're in the key of D. And then B minor, just extract those two notes. And then this comes from an A/C sharp. But I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm explaining too much. So basically let's just review where we are now. Okay, so for the G chord, we've got this cool little kind of hybrid between this G and this G, because we're using some of the open. Okay, so what we've done so far is played the progression D, A, B minor, and my embellishments, I'm just using notes from the previous chord. So I know with the D, I could use these two notes. Then with the A, I know those two notes are still available to me from the D, right? So I can go. And now I'm using this E over here. So if I'm in B minor, And I can still use that E because I'm borrowing it from the A chord. It's borrowed notes, just borrowing them from the other chords inside of the key. All right, okay, I'm getting out of breath. Then we go to G, and that note is from my A chord, right? And that note is from... Hey Melvin, it's so nice to hear from you, bro. Thanks so much. I just realized these comments are a little big. But anyway, they just come and go, so that's fine. What am I doing? Okay. Thanks, Melvin. I really appreciate that comment. Okay. So, you get the idea. So, basically... There's so much you can do with this. Like, you don't have to stick to the... When you're practicing these different shapes. And I'm going to put the notes in the description of this video. I'm going to upload it as a specific series and whatever, but you guys will get the idea. So yeah, you can use these chords to play any chord progression, really, and you can use some of the techniques to kind of make your own voicings. Because sometimes in the key of D, you don't just have these chords; you have other chords. Okay, but it's important to learn this, like mastering the fretboard in one little bite at a time. So the bite that you have to do for this week is just practice D, A, B minor, and then switch between. Okay, so next up I want to talk about soloing over these chords using the chord voicings that we just learned. Okay, so I'm going to play a little chord progression, okay, and obviously the chord progression is going to be in the key of D, and I'm going to be soloing over that chord progression. So let me just play a little chord progression. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's the D chord. Now immediately I started playing a riff inside the second shape. Now we're at the A. Now I'm soloing over this A. Going to the B minor. Going to the G. Going back into the D. So I'm targeting... Hey, what's up, Benjamin? Now I'm going into this B minor. So what I'm doing there, you see I'm playing around the voicings that we just learned, but I'm also using notes outside of the voicing. So that's a concept that I want to talk about, that is you're moving out of the triad and then back into it. And that creates interest in your solo, right? If I were to just target the chord tones, the notes inside the D chord while the D chord is playing, then it will sound so boring. Like, listen here. It's like I'm not saying anything, all right? But the moment I go out of the the triad, and the way to find those out notes is just to play notes from the other voicings. So I'm using this E from the A chord, and I'm using the B from the B chord and the G chord. So listen here. That was immediately as if I was saying something, right? It was immediately like, okay, you know, there's some kind of emotion in this thing. There's some kind of thing that you're trying to say while you're soloing. And you want to keep in mind the chord that you're soloing over, but you want to have that chord create tension inside that chord, like where you're pulling away from the chord and going back into it. Okay, so you don't want to just let rip and just solo whatever, but you want to go in and out of the chord. Now let's talk about the A chord. I'm going to show you the same technique that I'm going to do with the A chord. So this is just to show you the A chord shapes. So let's start the song again. So here we're on the D. Let's just solo the D. Now we're going to go to the A. So there's the A note. Now we have the B minor. To the G. You might have heard there I did a small mistake. Well, it's not a mistake, but with the G, I played a C note on the G. Which sounds nice when you're in key of G, but when you're in key of D, it can be a little bit dissonant because it's not in the key of D. Because remember, we did a C sharp actually. With the A chord, there's a C sharp. So what you should have done over the G is go. That's the kind of lick that you want to do. If you want to stay in key, you obviously don't have to, but it usually works pretty nice. Okay, so I'm going to give you one more example of how I'm soloing over this thing, and then we're going to go into the next little exercise for the day, and that is connecting to patterns, to scale patterns. Okay, but let me just quickly give you one more example of this. I'm enjoying this. Oh man, I love it, I love it. And this kind of thing just builds your creativity like nothing else. Okay, so let's go to the final topic. We've got 5 minutes left, and this is going to be a quick one. And I'm going to talk about connecting to patterns when soloing, which is a skill that you need to develop to get out of the playing in one block at the same time. One block at a time. So I want to just talk about connecting to patterns, and the easy way to do this is just to start with your minor pentatonic scale, okay, and then connect it down the fretboard and up the fretboard. So if I were to play B minor pentatonic scale, which everybody should know who's doing this course, okay, so I'm playing that scale, and what I want to do is add one note down the fretboard and one note up the fretboard, and that will force me to get out of the box, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm just going, so let's go on this 5th string. So I'm just going to go down one note. Well, the pentatonic scale never moves in semitones, so it will obviously not be this one, but it might be that one. So let's see. Nice. So there I found 2 notes, right? So if I'm soloing here, I can add the note. I can do the same thing with the 4th string. There we go. Let's add a note higher. String, do the same thing. That's not that one. There we go. So we're in the pentatonic here, and we added an extra note that we found by ear. And there's another note higher. To the 2nd string, do the same thing. No. There we go. Let's go on the 1st string in the pentatonic. Add a note to the lower note. So you see what's happening here. It's pretty amazing. Like just that kind of expands your scale. It just makes your scale a little bit wider, and it makes your soloing more creative. Because if I just stay here, I'm not really thinking about I'm going higher. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to the next string, which is a different concept, right? It is higher, but I'm not just thinking, you know, I'm not thinking of the notes going higher like as you see them written on a staff. You know, it's like you're just kind of letting your fingers fall, and you start to sound. Everything starts to sound the same when you're soloing just with the pentatonic box. So you want to force yourself to just go out of the box. Go down and go up. Just one note. Don't go find the next note, because then by the time you get here, you've forgotten kind of how this relates to the pentatonic scale. So you want to kind of always connect what you're learning with what you already know, and if you make that connection, then you will remember it. Okay, but if you have no connection to it whatsoever, you're not going to remember it. I guarantee that. Okay, so I'm going to end this video. Thanks for watching. I'm going to do these Fretboard mastery classes. I'm going to do another one today in a couple of hours, and then I'm going to do another one probably on Friday, tomorrow. Yeah. So I'm going to take time now for questions with the live people, and have a nice day. See you soon. Bye-bye. Alright, so everybody who's on the live stream, you guys can chat with me, and I can take some time to answer any questions you guys might have with the stream. I would love to know if you have any questions. So, Benjamin, Melvin, if you guys are still there, ask away. I'm waiting. Let's just create another nice little loopy thing using these kind of chords. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. right. So we don't have any questions, but that was fun. Nonetheless, I think everybody, I see people watching, but I think you guys are watching probably from the beginning just to kind of get into the thing. So turn on notifications if you want notifications for this. If you want to sign up to my email list, go to joobamusic.com/newsletter. Peace out, homers. See you soon.